From players who play like they're competing for the World Cup to players who want to fight you when they get eliminated, here are 20 types of Fortnite arena players. The Storm Fighter. This is the player who doesn't back away from a fight, no matter what. They don't care how far away they are from the zone, they're always going to fight in the storm until someone gets eliminated. Then these players don't even care if they have any health or consumables to heal so they can make it out of the storm, they're not going to back away from a fight. And don't let a storm fighter catch you trying to come out of the storm, because if they see you doing that, they're going to run right to the edge of it or maybe even inside just to make sure you can't get out. The main focus. This is the player who always gets focused and third-partied whenever they're fighting. And there's not too much they can do about it, I guess it's just their luck, because whenever this player gets in a fight and they get a few eliminations out of nowhere when they're healing, another two teams will randomly come pickaxing their wall trying to get in their box or spraying so hard to the point where they can't do anything. But it's 10 times worse during endgames when they're trying to rotate to the next zone and get focused by the entire lobby. The Runner. Not gonna lie, it's pretty annoying fighting these types of players at times, but if you're the runner, you avoid any fight at the first sign of taking damage and just back away. You'll do whatever it takes to make it out alive, even if you have to use 5 launch pads and run through 1,000 materials. You're also the player who hops in a car and drives across the entire map if someone does 1 damage to you. Then sometimes you'll even randomly come back and sneak up on the person you were running from and eliminate them that way. The Complainer. This is the arena player who makes an excuse for everything that happens, no matter what it is. And they never hold themselves accountable when something bad does happen. Whenever they get eliminated, they have an excuse for why it's not their fault in less than a second. These are also the players you most likely will have to reboot 2 or 3 times per game. Then one of their favorite excuses is that they're lagging and couldn't do anything, even when their internet is perfect. Then when they're not blaming it on the Wi-Fi, they'll blame it on Fortnite and call the game trash. The Unlucky One. This is the player that Epic has secret animosity with because they never give these players a fair chance at the game. Nothing goes these players' way, and most of the time, they don't even get the chance to make it into champs since they're losing most of their points to the bus fare once they reach Division 6. Because the unlucky players don't get guns off spawn half of the time. Then when they contest someone for a chest, they don't even have a chance at winning. Also, half of the lobby lands where they land, making the chance of them dying off spawn even higher. That's just unlucky. The Overbuilder. It seems like these players never run out of materials, because if you shoot at them once, they're not going to stop building until they eliminate you. These players also farm half of the game to ensure they are prepared to overbuild when someone shoots at them. Whether they do or don't have full materials, these players will be overbuilding. And these players are somewhat similar to the runners, it's just that they run around in builds. Then once you do get them to use all their materials, they're going to edit through every build just so you don't have a chance to get them. The Stream Sniper. This is the player who cares about nothing but embarrassing a streamer. The only reason these players get in Champs League is to snipe big streamers. But then they're not just your average stream snipers, they're stream sniping experts, because it takes no time for these players to get in the streamer's games, and they're the ones who make the streamer annoyed and mad because they don't stop doing it until they get banned or until the streamer just stops streaming because they can't deal with the stream snipers anymore. And most of the time, there are more than one stream sniper in the bigger players' games. The Beggar. These are the players who aren't annoying, but they make you and your teammates lose all of your materials. Because half of the game they're asking for materials or ammo for their weapons. They always claim to not have any materials nor ammo. Sometimes it could even be loot. And it's even worse during the end of the game, because when you need your stuff the most, they'll tell you that they need materials since they only have around 3 to 5 builds left. And it seems like these players never have mats nor ammo because they didn't subscribe to the channel. So subscribe if you want to never have to worry about running out of resources. The World Cup Contender. These players take Arena a bit too seriously because they play it like they're going to get paid for winning a game. And these are the ones who don't go easy on anyone. They're also the ones who can reach the Champions League in one day. Then if you were to ask them how many arena points they have, it's for sure going to be over 20,000. They also only play solos or with a set group of people. Then if you wanted to know their daily routine, it's eat, sleep, grind arena, repeat. And the only time these players aren't in arena is if they're doing an aim duel or a wager. The Fisherman. This is the player who has a load of floppers, slurpfish, small fries, and every other fish out there to heal with stored in their inventory. Then these players' main landing spots are Slurpy Swamp, Craggy Cliffs, or Believer Beach. because their whole game plan will be thrown off if they don't get their hands on at least a few fish. And it's not the easiest thing to eliminate these players, because if you don't hit them with a hard-hitting shot, they're going to heal up faster than you have time to reload your weapon, since they only use fish to heal. The hacker. These players don't use powerful hacks, but they'll use something like soft aim, so it won't be as detectable. Then these are the ones who ruin it for many other players, since they're making the game straight up unfair for everyone else. But you'll only see these players in higher divisions, since 80% of the players they fight don't even have a chance at eliminating them. And they also do the same thing in tournaments, so they can try to win some items for free or get on the leaderboards. This also has to be the most annoying type of arena player to run into. The W keyer. This player doesn't listen to anyone on the team because they're most likely already in another player's box while you're in a fight. These players also know every exploit to get into your box, and it's insanely annoying fighting the W keyers when you're low on materials or when you have no health, because they're not going to stop chasing you around until they make you return to the lobby, even if it takes 5 whole minutes. And if you want to see a long fight, just watch a W keyer and a runner fight. It'll be one of the most drawn out, but funniest fights you'll ever see. The Smurfer. This is the arena player who has a ton of alt accounts and only plays arena in lower divisions, so they'll get matched up with players who aren't as good as the players in the higher ones. Then 90% of the time when you see a default skin jumping around everywhere in a lower division, yeah, that's most likely going to be a Smurfer. Then the main reason they do this is to have fun and get shields for kill and high kill games without having to worry about skill-based matchmaking nor fighting extreme sweats. The Endgame Warrior. This player plays for nothing but placement points. Then they don't land in named locations to avoid having to worry about dying off spawn early, so then they don't miss out on placement points. These players also don't fight until they have to. They don't worry about third-partying players or nothing like that. Then when it gets close to the end of the game, these are the players you see already boxed up on top of a mountain. They also take every game maybe a bit too seriously, perhaps something like an FNCS game, and they only get kills during the end game during moving zones. The low ping player. This player could be either good or bad at the game, but what gives them the biggest advantage is their ping, because the highest it'll get in a match is like 5. If it gets to be anything above that, they say that they're lagging. Then these are the players who will take your wall first and then get into your box the first time as well. Everything goes well for these players because of their ping. If you're fighting them with a ping above 30, you don't have a very good chance at eliminating them unless you get a hard-hitting pump shot or snipe. The Bush Camper. These players play arena just because, and whenever they kill you, it's going to be because you walked into a bush that you shouldn't have walked into. So then the only time these players will shoot you is if you do walk into their bush. But if you don't, you won't have to worry about these players. And that's most likely because the Bush Campers get nervous when playing arena, especially when they get into higher divisions, since there's a high amount of good players in those lobbies. The in-game leader. This is the player who makes sure everything stays under control with the team, and they make all the calls when playing arena. They also take it seriously and don't like losing points. The in-game leader usually gets a good amount of arena wins per day since they're very organized. They also give every player they're playing with a role. Then when you see a team in arena where all of the members have the same skin on, there's a good chance that there's an in-game leader behind that. The emoter. This is the toxic arena player who thinks they're better than everyone else, even if they're really not that good at the game. Then they emote on you no matter what. They don't care if it was a good kill or not. You could be fighting one of these players and die to them because you lagged, or they broke you down. Regardless, they're going to do the take the L or laugh it up on you until they see that you stop spectating them. Their main goal while playing arena is to make you mad. The high IQ player. This is the player that we all love spectating when we die because it's so insane when they clutch up and do stuff that you don't see too often. And they're one of the players who can still take the team to a win if everyone else got eliminated. Just because they're the only one alive doesn't mean hope is lost. Plus, everything they do is calculated and on point. It's like the high IQ players don't mess up while playing. They just don't. The AFK player. This is the player who always goes away during the wrong times, because they either go AFK while on the battle bus and come back with a bad drop, or they'll go AFK when the storm is right on their tail. They just always die when they're AFK. Now do click on that video on the screen before you go.